Ka haia te ata, ka hāpara te ata, ka koroki te manu, he pō he ao, ka awatia tihei mauriora. Ko te timatanga me tuku te mihi ki te atua, ki te wāhi ngaro, nāna nei nā mea katoa. Ki te hunga mate, moi mai rā i roto i te rangi Māori e. Ki a koutou e mātakitaki ana, tēnā koutou katoa, i roto i ngā āhuatanga o te wā. He eke ana matariki i tēnei wā, he wā whakamahara ki te hunga mate. I tōna āranga ake, ka titiro whakamua tātou. Ko Anthony Campbell tōku ingoa, he uria hau no Ngāti Manipoto, Te Aroa Ngāti Rauanui hoki. My name's Anthony Campbell, and I've got the pleasure to be able to share a little bit of the mahi that Hene Rangi Ngātai and myself got to share at Dream Conference 2025. I'm going to be sharing with you all our presentation at Dream Conference, looking at Te Ata Hāpara, the Breaking Dawn, our proactive data-driven TED services support model for learner success. I'm going to share a little bit of an introduction into who Te Wānanga O Aotearoa is, our learner demographic, as well as an introduction to Te Ata Hāpara, our model. Our story begins in 1983, when Dr. Rongowetere and Boy Mangu led to the establishment of O Tāwhao Marae on the grounds of Te Awamitu College. It was a local response to the failure of mainstream education meeting the needs of rangatahi Māori in Te Awamitu. The plan was offering rangatahi the opportunity to learn whakairo, rāranga, as well as essential life skills through a kaupapa Māori lens. As the project progressed, the Waipa Kōkiri Centre was established in 1984, marking the forerunner of Te Wānanga O Aotearoa. On April 27, 1985, O Tāwhao Marae was officially opened and ushered in a season of innovation and growth for our organisation. By 1989, the Waipa Kōkiri Centre became the first private training establishment registered in Aotearoa and took on the name of the Aotearoa Institute. New campuses, new partnerships, new opportunities were formed, and in 1993, the government formally recognised Aotearoa Institute as a Wānanga, placing us alongside other institutions like polytechnics, universities, teachers' colleges. In 1994, we changed our name to Te Wānanga O Aotearoa. And so through those early days of bold innovation, whether it was developing new accessible models, the protests, the Waitangi Tribunal claims, the expansion across the motu, Te Wānanga O Aotearoa has grown into a national movement of accessible and culturally grounded education. And so helping paint the picture of who we are some insights into our wānanga. Te Wānanga O Aotearoa is one of the largest tertiary providers in the country. As a wānanga, we offer education solutions that are uniquely Māori, and our environments are kaupapa driven. As a wānanga, we're committed to the protection and revitalisation and advancement of te reo Māori, Mātauranga Māori, tikanga Māori, in a te ao Māori way. We uphold this commitment through utilising and embedding our principles and practices in everything that we do. Our wānanga is committed to whānau transformation through education as our vision, and our mission is tauira success. Te Wānanga O Aotearoa has over 60 programs from certificate level through to masters, delivered in a range of modes, including face-to-face, online and home-based. Many of these things are provided by others, but we do so in a uniquely Māori way. We have over 80 delivery sites across the country, including our campuses, utilisation of community centres, and importantly, our local-based marae and hapu resources. We support and serve over 20,000 students every year. Our tauira demographic is also quite unique to us as a wānanga and differentiates us from other providers. At our wānanga, 56% of our tauira are Māori, 48% 40 plus years of age, 74% are female, 65% of all of our tauira are in employment, 35% of our tauira have qualifications at level 5 and above. Also in our wānanga, 50% of our tauira live in decile 1 or 2 areas. Our learner demographic brings with it challenges in the context in which we support people. What our research shows as we engage with our tauira is that our tauira are more susceptible to withdraw from their studies compared to other organisations in Aotearoa. Many of our learners have either faced significant interruption to their formal study due to life circumstances or other challenges that they may experience. Many of our tauira either experience educational interruptions, career changes, juggling life and work and study. So our data shows that Māori and Pacific completion rates at our wānanga are lower than non-Māori. What we also see in our data is that the completion rate for tauira under the age of 25 in our wānanga is significantly lower than those who are over the age of 25. Completion rates for our tauira who live in decile 1 or 2 areas is also lower than those who are in levels 3+. So completion rate for our tauira with no formal qualifications is also significantly lower than those who have left with a school qualification. And so our Te Ata Hāpara support model for tauira success focuses on providing targeted support for our tauira, the same tauira demographic that inspired the creation of Waipa Kōkiri Centre and Te Wānanga O Aotearoa. And so talking to our model, there are 3 main po that underpin our approach. Te Ata Hāpara is framed as a proactive, data-driven, tiered support model that ensures that we get the right support at the right time to tauira. We employ predictive analytics, proactive communication, streamlined engagement for our tauira in ways that reflect the need and aspiration of them. The ultimate goal of Te Ata Hāpara is to improve tauira experience, and through that we will see an improvement in retention and overall well-being and outcomes for our tauira. So in the model itself, we group our tauira into kaupai or levels based on the level of potential need they might have, the strengths that they bring to their learner journey, and we take an in-depth look at behaviour, demographic insight, and need. So the kaupai levels are based on a range of demographic data, academic, behavioural, everything from age, ethnicity, prior achievement, highest qualification, background, what they were doing prior to coming to study at Te Wānanga O Aotearoa, employment, are they working, are they studying online, are they studying in person, home-based, and then through that being able to identify tauira who may be more likely to withdraw, and then apply personalised approaches that can help engage tauira. So as you can see on the screen there, our tauira are grouped into kaupai. Kaupai 01 represents around about a third, 34% of our tauira. And these are tauira who are less likely to need our support. They are more self-directed and self-sufficient, and they will continue through their studies. So our support that we would offer them are in the broad automations, learner journey support, whether that's emails or texts. Kaupai 2 represents 32% of our tauira, and these are tauira who may need some support, but are generally on track. So we have targeted keep warm communications when an upcoming assignment, aromatawai is due, and general encouraging comms that would go to them. Kaupai 3 comprises around about 22% of our tauira, and this group has moderate needs and may face some challenges in balancing work, study, whānau commitments, noho marae dates, all of those things. And so there is a proactive outbound support centre who provide calls, engagement, light touch. These are our tauira journey coordinators, and they have knowledge of their program that TWoA are on, insights into who they can contact if they needed support. Kaupai 4 represents TWoA, around about 10% of our TWoA. And these TWoA are likely to experience multiple challenges. They may have missed assignments, their attendance might have dropped off. And so in this setting, we want to proactively support and be ahead of the potential withdrawal of these TWoA. And so here is the connection of face-to-face services from our student support advisors in our campuses, out in our regions. And Kaupai 5 represents 2% of our TWoA. And these TWoA are most likely going to need external support, specialist support, health services, coaching, counselling, anything to help remove some of those barriers. And so our insights in this tiered services model is supposed to show that we can identify which TWoA need the right help at the right level at the right time. So ultimately, we want to improve that TWoA experience and improve our retention. So from there, part of the way in which the model works is looking at that TWoA demographic, previous experience, that TWoA journey to us, and then also looking at TWoA behavior while they're with us. As I mentioned, these are things like attendance, assignment due dates, have they logged into the LMS system, are there too many unexplained absences in part of that journey? And then that information then goes through our digital systems to then be able to produce journeys that are appropriate for that TWoA. The automated triggers around due dates or overdue assessments also progress along to reminders for TWoA to log in. It also lets kaiako know through our system and reporting and retention plans that we are tracking TWoA, trying to support them as much as we can. If we don't have, if we don't get a response either from an open email or a change of behavior, logging into the system or attendance improves, we have our Te Ata Hāpara Outbound Support Centre will actively call. So cases are created for these TWoA. If that hasn't produced an outcome, or if that conversation with the TWoA from our support centre, that the learner, the TWoA needs some more support, then we can generate cases, or we can coordinate with our student support advisors out in the campuses to follow up with more intensive face-to-face support. If in all of that we're still not quite getting the engagement with the support, or the TWoA doesn't feel heard or engaged, we continue to provide that support and then look at the escalation into Kaupai 5. So that's how the model works at present. And through that, we're seeing two really encouraging signs as it relates to our engagement with TWoA. The first one is that we are, in fact, connecting more with our TWoA so they can be more informed and more aware of what's available for them. So we're connecting more often. Partway through 2024, our Te Ata Hāpara systems kicked in, and we were able to track some of the engagement there. So in 2024 alone, we sent 210,000 emails, and around 56,000 of those emails were part of what we're doing in Te Ata Hāpara. 34,000 were connected to those triggers that I mentioned before. And in that, 21,000 of those emails were focused on online learning. So it sort of shows that we've got more data and insight to our learner management systems for those online learning opportunities, and so you get more engagement. We've also had, with our small dedicated team in 2024 of 6 kaimahi, 9,400 cases generated. And these were to follow up on things like overdue assignments, unexplained absences, not logging in to the learner management system, and then using either the automations, emails, engagement with kaimahi, or direct phone calls to the tauira, being able to close those cases with re-engagement or pathways. What we've also seen as well is that there is an overall increase in the number of transactions and interactions with our tauira. So in 2024, we had 81,000 engagements with tauira, which was an increase of 65% on the previous year, and I'll jump into that here. So the graph here just tracks the cadences or the rhythms for engagement with our tauira. So you'd see a couple of clear spikes there in that February-March area, and then in the July-August area. And those coincide with semesters. They also coincide with, particularly in that July-August time, due assignments. But we have seen a massive uptake in engagement with our student support advisors out in our campuses. So we're connecting more often. This surge in engagement highlights the increased visibility, accessibility for tauira to connect with advisors at the right time and in the right way. So what it tells us is that we're seeing a transformation in the way that communication and opportunity changes behavior, and our tauira feel like they have more access to student support advisors around the country. When we talk about transactions or engagements, this has to do with an authentic engagement, whether that's in a group setting or whether that is with an individual tauira. And first, it has to be in dialogue. It is not just a kind of single one-way traffic. It is our student support advisors being able to assess and triage any particular service or need. So that could be financial support, it could be pastoral care, it might be essay writing, literacy and numeracy support. We consider that part of the dialogue for the triage, and then also applying specialist knowledge. So it's not just, okay, we understand that you have a need for financial assistance as a student support advisor. Here is the pathway to access financial support through external services, internally, hardship, StudyLink, all of the parts. So we need both of those to then track with what we call here as a meaningful engagement. That two-way interaction helps us then also form and develop plans. So those plans that can be ongoing past the student support advisor and include other kaimahi where necessary. So we're connecting more, and then what we're also saying is that we're connecting more meaningfully. And what I mean by that is that the engagement, the communication and the messaging is showing a change in behavior for tauira to stay with us, to not withdraw, and to ultimately go on to complete their programs. What we've done, and when we presented this to those in the States, because we were talking same things but different language, right? But we were talking around things like persistence and completion. The graph that's in front of us now is a snapshot by COPI. So as I've already shared, those likelihood indicators, the behavioral and the demographic insight. And then also overlaid in that is the behavior or the outcome by COPI when talking about remaining current for an entire year of study, those who withdraw, and then we've got the section there under early withdrawal or unfunded withdrawals. those who left before funding and resourcing was allocated. So this is the pattern for 2013 to 2014. At COPI 01, 65% of the tauira in that demographic stayed on to complete the year. But as we progress along through the COPI, what you'll see is that over in COPI 5, only 54% of the tauira who are in that COPI stayed on to complete that year. And then you'll see the kind of the parallel with withdrawal and the early withdrawal. And so then what we ended up doing is just trying to compare the 10-year trend with what we saw in 2024. And what we've seen is a steady increase in retaining tauira for the full year, a reduction in withdrawals, and ultimately tauira who stay with Te Wānanaga O Aotearoa are more likely to complete. So for instance, COPI 01, the current status rose from 65% over the general trend for the last 10 years to 70%. And then the significant increase, if you jump to the progress to COPI 5, the increase from 54% to 64.7%, so 10% increase in the retention or the holding on to in that calendar year of tauira. That improvement has been, there are multiple reasons for that improvement, and the overall approach to teaching and learning at Te Wānanaga O Aotearoa, Te Ata Hāpara plays a part, but what we're able to do now is to be able to show this level of insight in supporting tauira. One of the things I asked the team to do was that 9,000 group that I mentioned earlier was to zoom in and have a look at those tauira who were actively engaged by the case management parts of Te Ata Hāpara. And across all COPI, we saw the proportion of currents of those who retained for the whole year dramatically increase. COPI 5, for example, that's 76.81%. And that's for the tauira who experience the most barriers to education success. And so this was super encouraging. We're connecting more often and we're connecting more meaningfully, and we're showing that across the data and across the tauira experience, a compelling story that this type of approach, the proactive data-driven outbound support, is really showing an impact for us as a wānanga. And so just as we're kind of coming to the end of the presentation, this is still very much in the early phases for us, even though the journey of Te Ata Hāpara began in 2019. We have been applying the principles that we've learnt from the frameworks like with Te Ōritetanga, as well as the work that is done by Achieving the Dream Network, to be able to see, hey, we've got our own frameworks that are uniquely ours, that our tauira-centric model does work for our tauira demographic, that the usage of data-driven approaches, especially being able to target early intervention, these are all positive wins that we've experienced. In that journey as well, we've also walked along, we've also found some challenges along the way, as well as an organization. Ensuring that you have consistent leadership and governance is vital to ensuring that you can roll out something like Te Ata Hāpara. We've had leadership changes and governance model changes as well over the life of the project. Also kind of tagged to that as well is having the right kaimahi, with the right levels of support and ratios for staffing to the work required. And then also in our wānanga context, over the last few years, we've experienced technology and data integration and integrity issues because we have multiple systems. I think for a number of providers, you may have your LMS setting in a particular way, your student management system sitting somewhere, the reporting for external compliance, as well as the internal data insights and analytics. So that's been a challenge for us as well. And so some of the big lessons that we've found is that for these types of models to work, it has to be proactive, it has to be inclusive, and it needs to be able to roll with change. I think when organizations can do that and adapt, they can take on all the experience and all the improvements that they've had and bring it into the new. People and leadership lessons, as I've already mentioned, as part of the challenges, making sure that more and more people are aware of how frameworks like the learner, or like Te Ori Te Tanga, like Achieving the Dream, that it's the byproduct of inclusive, accessible frameworks and methodologies is academic improvement, is student experience improvement, is retention. And so you need to have leaders and people who understand that. And then also just technology. One of the encouraging things about being part of the Dream Conference, for example, is seeing how community colleges of all sizes, of all different reaches, whether they are First Nations Indigenous colleges, whether they are urban colleges, rural colleges, that data integrity and data insight is a powerful tool to help better support tauira in the right way and at the right time. And so for us, what's happening for us, where are we going to next? We want to be able to, at those Kopai level 4 and 5, improve the service and the function and have more proactive support happening out in our campuses and out in our districts. We want to be able to train up more of our staff, not just our support services kaimahi, but our teaching and learning, our ako kaimahi, to see how this service best works for them. A big shift that we're doing at the moment is implementing better technology and systems to support data integrity, and we have a massive change project on at the moment for our Wānanga. That will have a system that is underpinned by the same framework as Te Ata Hāpara to enable that active case management, better insights for teaching and learning staff, kaimahi, as well as agency for tauira that they can help, that they can steer and that they can direct their learner journey. With a big part of this, also strengthening those external partnerships that we have right across the country. As I mentioned, 80 delivery sites up and down Aotearoa. We can't be everything to everyone, but we know that there are wonderful community organisations who can help us achieve what we want to achieve as an organisation, enabling whānau transformation through education. So I'm going to see if this video is going to play for us, but I'd like to end with this short clip from Vernon Downs. He is one of our graduates, one of our kainga puawai from Ngā Pautoko Whakarāranga Oranga, our Bachelor of Bicultural Social Work.
I come from the life of addiction, drugs, I wanted to change my life, and so that's what I've done. And I guess that passion grew out of that, knowing that I can understand our people, the ones that are unfortunate. So at the moment, I'm like a cultural advisor with the drug courts. So that's a special courts called Te Whare Whakapiki Wairua. So my mahi in there is to bring tikanga Māori, bringing its relevance to the justice system and how tikanga can work alongside justice in partnership, So helping all our people that are coming through there, and guiding them, supporting them, helping them understand this way of a new life of change. Te Wānanga O Aotearoa, yeah, they were amazing, 4 years of hard study, but, they supported me, they walked alongside me, and the tikanga, within Te Wānanga. Just a very empowering experience.
Yep, we got thousands of stories like Vernon over the last 40 years. And with those thousands of stories along the way, Te Wānanga O Aotearoa has sought to innovate, has sought to do things differently, has sought to take as many of the tools and opportunities to help our vision of whānau transformation through education. And so, with that, nei rā te mihi ki a koutou katoa.